Hello, you're welcome back. So it's time for part 2 of our creative agency website design series in Figma. So in the last video, we started building the homepage, and today we are going to continue right where we left off. So what we covered in the last video is basically the hero section. Then after we completed the hero section, I think we also worked on the navigation bar, and we also worked on different button variations for our buttons. And then we worked on the about us section. We also worked on a scroll animation for our trusted by section. And finally, we ended on the benefits. So in this video, we're going to continue from where we stop and try to cover as much as possible. So if you are new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because this is just part 2 of a full 7-part series. Every week we'll move one step closer to a complete agency website design in Figma. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned. The next section that we're going to work on now is the recent works. So I'm just going to quickly rename this to recent works. Then I'm going to just stretch this a bit. And then I'm going to delete this. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to select this and change this to recent works. And then I'm going to change the right up to we turn your goals into tangible results. So I'm going to go over to the main components and edit something quickly. So I would like this to be title case. And okay, it's already on title case. Alright, so I'm just going to go back, return to instance. Alright, so the next thing we're going to bring in quickly is we're going to bring in like a rectangle. Alright, so let me select the home page. Alright, so I'm just going to turn on the desktop grid, and then I'm going to stretch this to make sure that it fits. Alright, so now that we have this, let me see how this looks. Alright, I think this is okay, but let's see the calculations. Okay, let's just leave this at 540, and this is okay. So I'm just going to give it like a corner radius of 12, and then let's preview it. Now let me try to duplicate this. I'm just going to duplicate this by just dropping this. Okay, but it's not working right now, so I'm just going to remove the auto layer that we have currently on the recent works. So I'm just going to, since I've removed the auto layer, so I can place them side by side like this. And I need to make sure that this remains at 120. Alright, and so this is supposed to be 590, not 591. So I'm just going to change it to 590 and make sure that this is T20 and this is 120. We're going to select both of them and make sure that distance between them and this should be like 40, and make sure that this is also at 120. All right, so now that we have this, I'm just going to quickly add the project title. And beneath it is going to be the description, or we're just going to call it project description. So now that we have this, I'm just going to change this to like 16, and then it's going to be regular, and we're also going to change it to the gray text, and this is going to be our text color. Then I'm going to select both of this and add auto layout to it. The gap should be like 12, and then I'm going to change this to 20. All right, so now that we have this, and finally we're just going to add like some sort of like icon here also. So let's go to our icon panel. All right, I think the icon is not here, so I'm just going to duplicate this and make sure this is like 20 and 20. So I'm going to go over here, select Huge Icon Pro, and then we're going to change this to arrow. So this is the arrow that we're looking for, so we're going to quickly swap it, and then I'm going to close this and change this, make this a component, then copy it and then come over here. I'm just going to duplicate this by holding Alt and paste to replace, and then I'm going to scale it to like 40. I think 40 looks good, so I'm just going to keep it here, select both of this and add auto layout to it. So I'm going to change the width to like 590, because that's what this is, 590, and inside is going to be auto. So since we already have this, I'm just going to select this and this. This must be a frame, although it's a rectangle, but we want a frame. We're going to work on that in a short time, so I'm just going to we're going to work on that in a bit. So I'm just going to select this and this and then apply auto layout to it, and now we have our project card, or whatever they call it, project card, or I'm just going to call this work card. Alright, so now that we have this, this is definitely going to be the image, and this is going to be basically we're going to call it like content, and then this will be like title plus description. Title plus description. So now that we have this, I think we are okay with this. So, but there's something that I quickly need to work on now. So for this, I'm going to bring this outside. I want to have like this little zoom effect on it. So I'm going to remove the corner radius, and I'm going to select this and frame selection. So I'm going to frame selection and change this to effect. So now that we have the image, which is like the rectangle inside, then the effect at the top, so I'm going to make it like a component and then add a variation. So this should come up because this is this, and now this, I'm going to zoom this in a bit, or zoom this out a bit basically. So instead of 540, I'm going to change it to like 560. So I'm going to hit K on my keyboard to have like this K menu and change this to 560. Alright, so but why it's actually displaying like this, because I didn't clip content. So once I clip the content, you see it has gone back to the original shape. So I'm going to clip content here also. So now let's quickly add like one image here so we can experiment it. So I'm going to select, let me select this and add it here. So it has been added. So I'm going to do the same here also. I'm just going to add like another image. So I'm going to add like this image. So now this is how it looks. So I'm just going to select this and go over to prototype and then connect it, and then change this to while hovering, and we're going to leave it at gen to 400. Alright, so now that I've done that, I'm just going to copy this and then paste it inside of here. Oh no, So I'm going to paste to replace this. So this is like effects, and this is like the content. So I'm going to select this, copy this, and paste to replace. Alright, so but there's something that I noticed there's no corner radius on the image, so I'm just going to select both of this, and I'm going to add the corner radius to this. Alright, I actually like the way this is, but I want this entire thing to be, that's the entire work card, project card or work card, whatever it's called, to be a component. So I'm going to drag this so that we can easily edit some parts without having to actively, edit it one after the other. So I'm just going to bring a frame and place all of this inside of this. Alright, so this is what I want to do now. So I want the distance between these to be like 20. Let me quickly set that up. So it should be maybe 40 or around that. Oh, whatever. So I'm going to call this project card. So this one now, what we actually made a component before was just like the image inside of this. We used a frame. We created a frame, then added like a rectangle inside. Then the rectangle is what we zoomed out. You get? So now I want this entire frame. That's the work card, or should I call it project card? I want the project card to be a component. So I'm just going to select components, and then I'm going to add some kind of like component properties. So this is going to be like the title, and down there is going to be the description. So this is exactly what I wanted to do. That's why I actually went through all this stress. So I'm going to change this to fill instead. So we have it like this. So now that we have this as this, I'm just going to copy this and then come over here and select this, paste to replace. And then I'm going to add auto layout to this and call it role 1. So I'm going to duplicate this and push it down. I'll call this role 2. Yeah, so I'm going to push this to the top, and this should be at the top also. So now we can now add our auto layout to this again. So this looks good now. So I'm just going to preview this quickly. Alright, so you see how it looks. So now there's one problem that I'm seeing now. I can see that the project title is very, very large. So one good thing about this is that now that we've noticed this, we can just edit it from here, and every other place will just, have the same, correction. So I can just leave it at 28 and see how that looks. So let's see. Okay, 28 looks okay. And then probably we can now change our description. We can now reduce the description to like 14. Alright, so I think this looks better than what we have before. So you see, this is very smooth. Alright, so now that we are done with this, I'm just going to quickly edit the images that we have here. So to edit the images, I'm just going to click on this and then add some more projects. So these are like some of the projects I've worked on previously. I'm just going to select them and add them to the project. So I'm just going to select this, then we're going to add this here, add this here, add this here. So automatically it just works. Okay, I think there's a little problem. It's still showing the formal. So I'm just going to do something. I'm coming back. Let me edit this. So I'm just going to select this. I'm going to paste to replace. Let's see if it has said anything that's happened here. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm now going to select this again and try it. Hopefully it works right now. You know, I'm just going to do it one after the other and just see if it will work this way. Alright, let me see if it works. Okay, I think that way it works that way. So we're just going to add the rest this in the same way. I'm just going to keep clicking. Or if you want to actually see this if you want to actually see this whole property where you can upload the whole thing, so you can just let me go back. Just double tap on this image here, or just select it once and then it will open. So the next one, I'm just going to select this, and finally I'm just going to double tap this, so select it once, sorry, and then finally we're just going to add this. So let's make sure that is working. Alright, I think everything is looking okay. So this is where you just put the project title and I know. Alright, so now that we are done with that, we're just going to go over to the next section. So for the next section, hopefully, let me quickly cross check this and make sure that I renamed everything properly. Alright, so now that we are done with recent work, the next section that we're going to work on is the services. But before we go over to the services, let's quickly add a view more. Let's add a CTA here for them to view more. So anytime you see me duplicate and then wherever I copied showed means I duplicate, then I use the paste to replace to now swap that object. So that's what basically I did here. So since I duplicated this, I just selected this and used the paste to replace shortcut. So this is what I've been using now to swipe paste to replace. This is like the shortcut. Right click on your MacBook or whatever, maybe MacBook or you're using the Windows, just like me. You can actually see the paste to replace shortcut here and just click on it. If you have been watching most of my previous video, you will notice that I use paste to replace a lot. So I'm just going to center this. So this is how it looks. Alright, so now that we have this, let's now go over to the next section. So for the next section, I'm going to duplicate this, but we are going to delete all of this because we don't need it here. So I'm also going to delete this, and then I'm just going to stretch it. So I'm going to rename it to services. So now that I've renamed it to services, we don't need the show descriptions. We don't need the description. I'm just going to change this to services. So now that we have this, now I'm going to change the color for this. So we are going to change this to our text color, and then I'm going to select this and then change this to white. Yep. And now we're going to add like a little corner radius to this, probably like 24, so that it looks like this. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to now add is we're going to quickly bring in like a frame that will host the services, and I'm going to just change this to fill. And then I'm going to impute our services. So the first one is strategy and identity. So that's the first thing on our list, and I'm going to change this to 24. Let's see. I just hope 24 is not too big. This looks okay, but I'm just going to push this to the end and then center it properly. So I'm going to come here. I think this looks great. And then I'm going to duplicate this and push this to the end. And then this is going to be 16. while the bold is going to turn to medium. And let's see if this can, let's use our gray text here and see how that looks. Oh, not bad. I think I'll just use the gray text there. So I'm just going to push this and center it properly. And then I'm going to obviously change the alignment, the text alignment to this. So now we're going to start typing. So the first one is the first one, all in caps, discovery, logo, colors, and then guidelines. All right, so now that we have that, let me quickly verify that everything is intact. So now that we have this, I'm just going to add like a little you know what, let's add auto layout to it. And then the padding should be like let's see, 20 looks too small, so let's try 40. I think 40 looks good. And then I'm just going to add like stroke. I'm just going to add a stroke to it, and then the stroke will just be at the bottom. And then we're just going to change it to 0.2. Let me see. All right, 0.2 looks great. I think we're going to use 0.2. No, I think we're going to use 0.2. So now that we have this at 0.2, I'm just going to take this outside and work on it. All right, so this is going to be services. So, and then I'm going to now add an image. So to add an image, I'm just going to come over here, select rectangle, just like as usual. Not probably, this is going to be 160 and this is going to be 140. All right, so this is going to be 160. Let's make the height 160 and this should be like 120. Let's see how that looks. Oh, no, 140. Okay, I think this looks okay, and this should just be like 12. And then I'm just going to push this inside of this. So I'm going to cut it and then select the service and paste it inside, and then make it absolute positioning so I can center it properly. And this, we're going to remove the clip content for this, and then I'm going to spin this a bit. Yeah, so this is what we want, and this is where we are driving at. So now that we have the first image, I'm just going to push this outside of here. I'm just going to push this outside of here. Or let's change this to 0. Copy it. No. I'll make this a component. Image. Then copy this and paste to replace here. And then spin it a bit. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm now going to make this a component. That's the service. I'm going to make it a component and then duplicate this. So I'm going to stretch this a bit so that we'll have enough breathing space here to do this magic that we're trying to do right now. Alright, so for this we're going to reduce this to the minimum. So this is I'm going to use scale to scale it down to 1. Yes. So I want to scale it down to 1. So what I want to do is that anytime we hover on this particular one, then it zooms out like this. Don't worry, I'm going to experiment it in a bit, but this is just what I want to do. So, and there should be like a hover state. So the hover state might just have like a color. You know, this on a normal doesn't have a color. So let's try no, our primary color is too much on this. So I'm just going to select this. You know what? I'm going to select our primary color, but I'm going to change it to like 12. Let's see how that looks. Well, let's change it to 4. I think 4 looks okay. So let's try to prototype that quickly So I'm going to select this and prototype this, and I'll change this to while hovering. So Gen 2 is okay, and then I'm going to copy this and try to experiment it here so we know if it's working. Alright, so I'm going to go over here and try this. Okay, I think my network is still loading this. Alright. Okay, there's only one problem I have now. I don't know why the outline is not showing until we hover on it, which doesn't make sense to me. Well, you know what, let's just remove the entire thing. Let's remove the whole hover fill. Let the image pop-up be the only thing, because I'm not really feeling it that way. Although you can experiment with your own and see how that works, but I don't want any fill there anymore. And this, I'll just put it as outside, and this also I'll put it outside. So now that we have this as outside and outside, then I'm just coming over here and let me just make sure that it's there. I don't know why it keeps going. Alright, so let me just duplicate this and work with the other one. So I'm just going to add the layout to this and zero this, and then add more. So let's see. So I'm going to remove this from 0.2, that's the outline or the stroke. I think it's based on the fact that it is on 0.2, that's why I can't see it. But let's see if 0.4 works. Okay, 0.4 works actually. Okay. So this image, I'm just going to change the opacity to 0. Let me see. Okay, yeah, exactly. Because I didn't like the dot that was actually visible there. Alright, so yep, this is exactly what we want. So now that this is what we've achieved, and now it's time to add some sort of stuff. So here, what I'm just going to do is come over here and call this title, whatever. We'll still edit it, don't worry, we're going to work on that. And this is going to be description. So now that we already have this title and description, so I'm just going to come over here, same here. So we already have title, so I'm just going to change it to title. We already have description, and I'm going to change this to description. So although for this, I'm going to change this to 01. 01. Oh, it keeps going back to that 01. You know what, let's just leave it. Or I'm just going to edit it on the other end, because I want the numbering to be 01, 02. I know it doesn't matter, but that's just what I want. So I think this will make it up. Yep, exactly. Alright, so I'm going to try and see if I can edit everything at once. Yep. Alright, so now that we have this, I think this is what I want. Oop. Alright, so the next one, let's go over to the next one. So the next one will be 02.UI/UX design. And then this will be websites, mobile, wireframes, texting. So now that we have that, we'll go to the next one. The next one is 03, and we'll call it websites, website design, and development. I just hope I didn't make any mistake with that. So the next thing that we have is design, webflow, framer, responsive. So now that we have this, with the way this tests are screaming, I'm thinking of reducing the test. But it's all good. So this is like 04, and this is like creative content, and this is copy, visuals, and social. And finally, this is 05, which is ongoing support. And under that, we have maintenance, systems, then we have goods. Alright, so since we have this now, I think we have all 5. So the only thing left now is to add like different images to this. So we can just swap it out. Alright, so to add different images to that, I'm just going to try. So I'm just going to have like 5 images. Hopefully we can have like 5 images. So I'm just going to duplicate and duplicate. All right, so we have five different images now. So the first one is going to be, so this is this, I'm just going to call this like image. Let's see if I can add more of this here. So let's call this image 2, image 3, image 4, image 5. Okay, I think I get why it's working like that. All these are like instances of this particular one. So I'm just going to detach this and then make them a component set. Create multiple components instead. Create multiple components. All right, so let's check that again. All right, so you see everything now is here. So I'm just going to select in between 1 to 5. Yep, so I'm just going to create property. So now this is what we want now. So looking at this is how it should be. So I'm going to try and see if I can see any good images in on Splash. So the first one is like branding. So I'm just going to call this branding. So I'm just going to push this a bit and see. Let's try this image and see. So I'm going to turn off the rectangle inside. So we're just going to, I think there's little problem back encounter right now. So I'm going to change this to 8, corner radius of 8, and then since we already have rectangles inside, I don't want to actually destroy this whole thing trying to rebuild it again. So I'm just going to just move forward with it. So I'm just going to leave this at this. And then the next one is UI UX design. So I'm just going to put UI. And since I already know that there's some sort of like this thing inside, so I'm just going to select anyone and see how it looks. And obviously this is like corner radius of 8. But I would have loved if it's centered or something. I think this looks good. Let's rename this to branding so that we can differentiate them. So this is UI/UX, and this next one is website. So So I'm just going to search like website. Let me use this. Alright, so I'm just going to double click to remove the fill inside of this. So this is going to be 8. Or let's just look for a better image. Alright, so the next one is creative content. So I'm just going to search content. I'm going to double click on this so I can remove so let me hit enter and remove the fill, and then I'm going to corner radius of 8, and finally let's remove the fill for this also and add corner radius of like 8. This is more like support. So I'm going to look for probably like customer service. So let me see if this will look good. Alright, so since we have all 5, I want to also edit this also. So for this branding, I'm going to add the instance. I don't know if this is called instance. Let me be sure. Alright, this is called instance. Let me rename it to images. And let me make sure that's what's here. Alright, so now that we have this, and I'm just going to select this and then change this. Okay, this is already at branding, so we'll leave it at branding. And then for this, we're going to change this to UI UX. And for this, I'm going to select this and change this to website. And then for this, we're going to change it to content. And for this, we're going to change this to support. Alright, so let's see how that plays out. Oh, it's still showing branding. Hopefully my network loads the entire thing so we can say, okay, it's loading now. Okay, wow. Alright, let's see if that works. Okay, wow. Alright, so you see we have like different things displaying. Alright, so this is exactly what we're actually aiming for, which we have gotten. So now that I'm done with this, there's no need spending so much time here anymore. I'm just going to add auto layout to this. Okay, the auto layer is already there, so I'm just going to change this to hog rather. Alright, so now we are done with this particular section, and so let's enter the next section. So the next section that we're going to be having is the testimonials section. That's the client's testimonial. So I'm just going to use this. I'm just going to duplicate this trusted by and push it down. Since we already have auto layout. So now that we are here, I don't want something that will stress me. So that's why I selected this. So I'm going to stretch this. And first of all, I'm going to rename it to testimonial. Alright, so And this also, I'm going to turn on description because we have description for this. All right. Okay. So the gap is going to be 40. So let me just stretch the entire frame before even deleting these two guys. I'm going to now delete them. Although it's kind of like reduced, so I'm going to change this back to fill. Alright, so now that we've gone back to fill, let's quickly edit this. So this is also going to change to fill, please. So this is testimonials, so I'm going to change this to testimonials. And this is going to be see the impacts we've made. Alright, so this is what I want. So now that we have this, let me quickly confirm what we currently have right now. Alright, so far so good. So let's keep going. Hopefully we get to finish this soon. Alright, so now the next thing we are going to do quickly is to start working on the aspect of the project. So I'm going to remove the auto layout. Then I'm going to create this frame here. And make sure this works with the grid that we have actually created. Alright, so I'm just going to make sure this is for following the grid, and this is like 40. And then I'm going to add like strokes to this, and then give it like corner radius of 12. So let's see how that looks. Okay, this is how it looks. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm just going to duplicate this into 3 places and make sure that this is in 3 places. I'm going to duplicate it also. And leave it here. So for this, we want to have like a scroll effect. So I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to add this, and then add auto layout to it. But we're not going to worry about that now because I want to make one of these a component first. So I'm going to bring this out here, and then I'm going to add white color to it, and this is going to be testimony. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm just going to quickly use the star to add the ratings. So this will be like 16. Okay, I'm going to I need to lock aspect ratio first so it doesn't distort like that again. So I'm just going to leave this at 24. Probably if it's too big, we will reduce it in the future. So I'm going to select this also, add auto layout, then duplicate. So this looks okay right now. So now I'm just going to look for some yellow color and add to it. Alright, I think I like this. So I'm going to rename this to rating. Alright, so now that we have this set up, so I'm going to change this to 20. And then I'm going to bring in some text. So I think we already have some text here under the testimonials. So I'm just going to select this, copy this out, and then go over here and then add it. And this is going to be our grid text. I think this looks okay. Although we're going to like add a little height to this, maybe leave it at like 80 or maybe 100. Yep. Alright, so since we have this, finally we have to add one more thing, and that's like the user profile, just a basic profile to indicate that there's a human, giving this feedback. So this is going to be 40, and then make sure that distance between this and this is like 20. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm just going to come over here and add some text with the name of the person. So for this, I'm going to use my name quickly, and I'm going to duplicate this, and let's say founder. Chain move. Or should we just leave it founder chain move? Alright, for this, I'm just going to leave it at 12, and then obviously change this to gray text and leave this at 16. Look okay, and then I'm just going to add both of them, add auto layout to both of them, and name this name plus title, and then this is going to be like avatar, and then I'm going to select both of this and then add auto layout to it, and maybe 12, and then call this user. Yeah. So now I'm going to finally now add auto layout to the entire testimony card, and then padding should be 20, everything should be on point, and now we have this. I'll copy this and then select all of this, enter, paste to replace. So now we now have all the cards visible. So let's wait a minute for it to load. Alright, so this is what we currently have, and let's make sure that everything is like gap of 20. I think, yeah, it's correct, gap of 20. And then I'm just going to quickly like edit this. So I'm going to create the component property for this testimony, and then we're going to change this to name. So this is going to be name, and this will be like user title. He's not actually a user, but I can't think of any other thing to put there. You can just name it user title or whatever. I don't really have anything to think of right now. So since we already have that, I think this looks okay. So we can easily edit it anyhow we want to edit it. So looking at, based on this now, I'm just going to do one thing right now. So this is going to be fill. Okay, we don't have fill now because there's no there's no auto layout in this particular frame. So I'm just going to add auto layout to it. And now let's begin the settings. So this is going to be 120 both ways and 60 up and down and 40. This looks great. So this is going to turn to fill. Alright, now so the overlay or the extra part will just be part of the scroll animation. So since this is like this, I'm just going to change this back to hug, and then we're now going to create the scroll animation for this, just like we created the scroll animation for the other one. So I'm just going to bring this out. So I'm just going to say testimonies. So I'm just going to add one more. You can use ChatGPT to actually generate more, but we don't have time for that, so I'm not going to go into that. You can just generate more testimonies, or you can think of something and put there. But for now, we can't do that. So I'm just going to change this to. So I'm going to select this testimony, and now I'm just going to say frame selection, and now we're going to call scroll testimony. So let's call this testimony. Then in bracket to put infinite. Scroll. I'm just going to change the to 1, 2. Alright, so and then I'm going to clip content and then make it a component, copy this and then paste here. Alright, we don't need to clip content because we want the other part to still be visible. Alright, so since we have this, I'm going to actually add more. Then this will be like middle, this will be like the start, and finally, and this will be the end. Alright, so this is on the start and this is middle, and this is like end. Alright, so now we're just going to quickly prototype it. So I'm going to, just like the way we prototyped the other one, I'm going to change this to after delay, and we're going to change this to 1, and this is going to be 10,000. And same thing for this. We're going to just change it to after delay, and here is going to be 1, and it's going to be 10,000. And then going back will just be instant. Alright, let's see if that works. Alright, so it is working. Although it's kind of like lagging a bit, so I'm just going to go over here and try to see if I can fix that. Okay, let's just quickly check what the problem might be. Alright, no, I think I want this to be linear, not Gen 2, and this should be 10,000. So let me select the next one and make sure that it's the same thing. So no, we want linear, we don't want Gen 2. And this should also be 10,000. I think I made a mistake. And this should be instant. Alright, so let's go back and see how that looks. Okay, there's a little something I noticed. I noticed that it's kind of like brought out this the last card before it restarted. So we don't want to have like any space at the end of this. Let's see if that happens again. So you see this space right here, we don't want it. So I'm going to fix that right now. So to fix that, then I'll have to remove the auto layer that we have here so that we can have the entire thing filled out. So I'm going to remove the auto layer that we have on this particular card, and then I'm just going to stretch it and see. So this is like 1320. So I'm going to go back. I don't want to edit it here. I just wanted to see like the length, which is like I wanted to see the width, which is 1320. So I'm going to stretch this to 1320. I'm going to increase the width for this to 1320. Alright, so now that we have this at 1320, I'm just going to quickly do something here. So this is 1320 and this is 1320, and this is 1320 also. So let's see how that looks here. All right, so it's already edited here, so let's just see how that plays out here. Let's see if we have like that space. So we don't have that space at the end there, although I think we want it to start from the top here, because when it gets to this place, I think when it restarts, it still has like this kind of space that the same space we treated here, it has it here currently. If we just want it to just probably like display between this particular place, and so that it follows our padding, just like the way this one follows our padding, I think I would like to do it this way. Let's just make it act that way instead. So I'm just going to go over here, and so for this now, I'll make it follow our 1 2 padding. So the width of 1 2, which is what we already had before, and then I'm going to clip content so that it doesn't exceed or go out of that. So let's see how that works. Let's see if it updates. All right, so I guess this is what we want. This is what is best for this, instead of trying the other route. So you see how when you're designing, you need to always pay attention to how you want your components to actually react. You see how we wanted it to not display the space, and we actually achieved that. You see how we actually wanted it not to also display here, although we later changed our mind. So you just test like different variations and see like what works for you, which I think this works very fine for what we are currently building at the moment. One more thing before we move forward, I would like to add like some random faces here. Even if we have like the same content here, which you can edit on your spare time, don't forget this is like a template. I'm just going to put like different faces there to actually give like a different feel, or probably like just give random names to and see. Probably I'll just do that. So to edit this now will now be very simple now. So instead of trying to edit it one after the other inside of this, remember we already have like an auto layout that is holding the entire testimonials. So you see this is the entire testimonial. So we just need to drag out this. So this is just what we need to drag out. When we edit it, then we can now paste it inside of our work. So I'm just going to quickly select all of this, and we're going to use content reel to make this possible. For now, I'll forget about adding names. I'll just add some pictures here. Alright, so I'm just going to head over to images, and then I like using these photos, and I'm just going to apply all. Alright, so this is what we currently have. So now that we have this, I'm just going to leave this here in case you want to edit it anytime. Then I'm going to copy this particular one by hitting Ctrl+C or Command+C, that's if you're using a Mac, and then I'm going to select this and make sure that I'm selecting inside of this. So this is what we are going to select. For the start, let's work on the start first. Don't select this, because if you select this, this is what will happen. Let me show you what will happen. Let me paste to replace. This is what will happen, which we don't want that to happen. We just want to select the testimonial, because this is testimonies. So we are just selecting only testimonies. That's the auto layout, the one that has auto layout. So let me go over to start. So the first thing, we're going to close all of this. So this is the start. So this is the start. Then this is like the testimonial. So I'm going to paste to replace. I've always been using the shortcut. I just wanted to just remind you of that. And then I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to use the shortcut for this paste to replace, and I'm finally going to use the shortcut for this paste to replace. So exactly, it's just as simple as that. We've already treated the whole thing with like auto layout and you know, the whole constraints that we used here. So it's going to automatically adjust. What you just need to just target is like the testimonials inside. So any edit you make to this, you can always edit this. So once you finish editing this, the next, that's if you get the file, once you finish editing this, you can just copy it and paste inside of this, because this is what will initiate the entire scroll animation.